This is Professor Michael Chapman. I'm one of the most experienced IVF doctors in Australia. I believe that an important part that I can contribute is to educate patients in relation to fertility, infertility, and all that involves. These series of podcasts help to educate you. I hope they are helpful to you. If you wish to know more, however, I'm more than happy to have you contact me via email, which is profmchapman@gmail.com, or make an appointment to see me on 9138 4222. Hi there, I'm Professor Michael Chapman, a fertility specialist of some 35 years. In fact, I was just working out the other day, I did my first embryo transfer and egg collection 7 years ago. And I was working out, probably I'm up around 3,500 babies that I've been involved in creating over that time. So I know a little bit about what IVF's about. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. One of the things that comes up fairly frequently in conversation, and to some extent, unfortunately, in my clinic, I see a large number of women who are seeking pregnancy over the age of 40. And this is, I think, a trend that's happening in Australia generally. Recent figures that have just been produced of IVF cycles in 2021, most recent data, suggested that over 25% of the women going through an IVF cycle in Australia are over the age of 40. So why am I being so unhappy when I see a patient? I'm not unhappy. I just want them to be realistic about what the chances of success are. Unfortunately, the biology of ovary, the biology of eggs, is one of decline in numbers, really, from the time that you're born all the way through until menopause. In addition to the decline in numbers, there's also a decline in quality. It remains pretty stable all the way through until you're 38, 39. But from that point on, the quality of the eggs in particular, is on the decline. Why is that quality? What am I talking about when I say the quality of the eggs? What I'm talking about is their ability to be genetically normal. When an egg forms in the body, or grows in the body, it's probably better because they're actually laid down when you're inside your mother's womb. They lie dormant all the way through until the cycle that it's going to be released in. And it's a complex process that takes them from that very quiet stage called a primordial follicle through to an egg. It takes about 90 days, in fact, from that first awakening of those primordial follicles through to ovulation. It's in that last 2 weeks, after that last menstrual period, that things really hot up and processes are going on to create an egg that is likely to be fertilized. The first part of that is that the egg has to grow. And as the egg grows, under the influence of the follicle-stimulating hormone, then we have the development of a mature egg. That egg, for the first, right up until the 36 hours or less before it's released, is actually got 40 chromosomes. And the final maturation process takes it through a stage where it actually kicks out 23 of the chromosomes to leave the 23 that will meet up with the boys, 23 chromosomes in the sperm head to produce the pregnancy. It's a complex process where the pairs of the 23 pairs, the 46 chromosomes, have to divide. They have to peel off and go, and they're pushed outside the cell. And as that process occurs, errors can occur. The process requires the expenditure of energy. So all the batteries in that little egg have to be working to make sure the process works well. Because if the process doesn't work well, we end up with one extra chromosome or two extra chromosomes or less. We actually end up with less chromosomes. So that when that egg comes to be fertilized, either won't fertilize, or if it does fertilize, it won't produce an embryo, or if it produces an embryo, it produces an abnormal embryo. And what happens in an egg as it gets older, or in the ovary as it gets older, is the number of batteries get less and less. When I see these patients, this is what I say to them about the background normal biology that's going on. What it results in, and that's what we get when we do genetic testing of embryos in these women over 40, is an increasing number of, if an embryo forms, if we test those embryos, a larger and larger percentage of them are actually abnormal. So the statistics are, if you are 30, nearly half of your embryos that you'll create, even though you're only 30, half of them will be genetically abnormal and never produce a baby. By the time you're 40, that percentage has risen to something like 70% of embryos at 40 are genetically abnormal. Once we get to 45, 98% of embryos that a woman produces are genetically abnormal. They're not going to attach to the uterus, or if they do attach, they're going to miscarry, and very rarely they'll get through to a baby. That abnormality with the eggs is what ends up causing Down syndrome, and the older a woman is, the higher she is of the risk of Down syndrome, all because of the same mechanism, where the batteries in the egg are declining, therefore the processes of creating a mature normal egg impaired.
And don't forget that you can access all the previous episodes by going to our website www.theivfjourney.com and select IVF Journey podcast from the navigation menu.